guys heard the term based? God-based, whatever based. It's a term that when I first heard it, I thought, does this have something to do with freebasing? And I don't even know what freebasing is. I just heard the term. Now everyone's thinking, sure you do.
Is this a 5 o'clock free crack giveaway?
But nonetheless, when I first heard it, I looked it up, and I thought the concept pretty interesting. So a based person is somebody who stands for the true self, states their thoughts regardless of what others think, regardless of the backlash they'll receive, maybe who take an unpopular opinion or something like that. So this is obviously a great concept. You know, you want to try to shoot for being based, a goal worthy of striving for, to be sure. Unless, that is, you've co-opted the word and totally changed the meaning. And anyone, anywhere who states that they're red-pilled now can state things that have totally bypassed common sense, logic, and truth, and then say, well, I'm based. So, of course, when facts come to ruin the party, these based individuals typically double down, insisting that opposition is just a sign of how right I am. So I can prove that for you. Anna Lynn McCord, actress and novice poet, posted her poem to Putin, in which she tells how awesome she is and how she would have nurtured the devil right out of Putin if she was his mother. We talked about this earlier in our show this week. You can go back and check that out. But by the way, I just think that statement is very offensive to Hitler's mother. She did the best that she could with what she was given, and let's face it, Hitler was quite a rambunctious teenager, so I don't think we should go around judging moms. Nevertheless, when she posted her poem to social media, she received thousands of negative responses. Now, she could have thought that the negativity comes from the fact that the post was entirely tone deaf and defies explanation. But that would have demanded some self-awareness, which is incredibly rare, especially in Hollywood. Instead, she doubled down on her poem, of course, and defended it by appealing to emotions, saying she was just trying to stand for children who were caught up in the midst of war. So now if you object to her self-centered attempt to get likes and to get pats on the back for her poem chops, well then of course it's because you don't care about the senseless deaths taking place right now among children in the Ukraine. So what does it really mean to be based if it's not that? If it's not virtue signaling like McCord, or posting a Ukrainian flag in your Twitter bio, especially when you can't even find it on a map, or even pouring Russian vodka down the sink when it's already been imported from Russia, bought by the United States, and then sold to you. So I mean, like, come on, man. Like, we're buying 200,000 barrels of gas a day from Russia, and I don't see anybody walking down the road to go to work. So is being based really just virtue signaling and just doing like kind of what the mainstream says? I mean, we've already heard that Ukrainians that were caught in a warship said F you to the Russians and then were blown apart. But of course, this wasn't true. And the men did surrender to the Russians and are still alive. And then we've got that video that you've probably seen of a black sedan rolling down the road, and then a tank just kind of cuts into it and just runs over the top of it. We were told that was a Russian tank, but now we find out that actually it's very likely that that was a Ukrainian tank. And these kind of stories matter especially when there's a clear agenda being pushed by stellar human beings like Hillary Clinton. So here's that.
We have to also make sure that within our own country, we are calling out those people who are giving aid and comfort to Vladimir Putin, who are talking about what a genius he is, what a smart move it is, who are unfortunately being broadcast by Russian media, not only inside Russia, but in Europe, to demonstrate the division within our own country.
There's just something about that woman. Every time she opens her mouth, she has the insane ability, at least in me and probably in you, to make you believe the exact opposite of whatever she is saying. So how are we even supposed to be giving aid and comfort to Vladimir Putin? What is this woman even talking about? Is there a large group of prominent people in America sending Putin gift certificates to get a mani-pedi? I mean, like, I'm not aware of that. You know, you can post down in the comment section if you are, and I'm wrong. But did anyone in the US send Putin some DoorDash? I don't know how we're aiding and comforting Putin. Not sure he needs our comfort. So if you do make sure you send him food, by the way, I think you should send him Chick-fil-A because Jesus is better than any chicken you can find in the Kremlin. So is there anyone of note really siding with Putin? Of course not. This is why the outbreak of virtue signaling is being opposed by some on the right. But I got to tell you this, being based isn't necessarily opposing the mainstream narrative either. You have clips like the one I'm showing now, which essentially suggests that the Russians are concocting to destroy Ukrainian labs that are housing biological weapons. So they're actually just killing innocent women and children in their rather elaborate plan to get rid of these biological weapons. And actually, Russia is a hero. So all of this is a serious predicament because people are easily manipulated. And to offset that, we are asked to trust two groups of people that are the least honest people on the planet, politicians and the media. For those of us who care about the truth, we can't make the mistake of just resisting the mainstream or going with the mainstream. So I had some thoughts about what we could do in life to actually resist this nonsense and this fake being based to actually get to what real being based looks like. So here's the first thing. Use common sense and be skeptical. Don't drop your love for the truth for any person, no matter who they are, no matter if they use the name of God or not. Here's some thoughts along those lines. War is good for a failing president and for the left. Keep that in mind. Common sense would tell you this. And by the way, the left has proven that they love crisis. They've no less than told you this. Keep that in mind. And on the other side, war is bad for civilians caught in the crossfire. So we should have something going on in our heart as it pertains to the Ukrainians there right now. And so those Ukrainians, those civilians deserve our heart and attention no matter what Putin, no matter what Romney or Clinton says. So next thing, use the fish test. The fish test is this, is if it smells like a fish and it tastes like a fish, then it's probably a fish. So that means don't give in to emotional arguments. This is what I try to communicate to my pastor friends about preaching all the time. You don't have to be outrageous to make people listen to you. Just tell the truth. You don't have to do this.
It might get nasty. And do you hear?
You just have to be truthful. The truth is such a rogue concept in society today. You become a renegade just by virtually telling people the truth. In other words, the truth makes you based. Finally, know that different assertions demand differing levels of evidence. Don't let people get away with fast and frugal arguments when you're discussing large topics. For instance, I tell this to my atheist friends. You can't easily dismiss Christianity as illogical just because you don't like that it holds to a belief in the miraculous. Rather, we need to handle large assertions like the historic claims of Christianity with careful thought, common sense, logic, data, and ethics. So look, these are just some recommendations, but with a simple conclusion. Don't be sheep. Don't be easily led astray by emotional talking points, counter to the mainstream or on par with the mainstream. All of us are required to think for ourselves, and neither should be obsessed with things on the left or right, but things in the dead center of the truth. You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.